Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. This is G. And guess what, Gemini? This is for you. I saved the best for the last. Yes, save the best for the last. Gemini, you're an air sign. And I know you may feel like you're going through some stuff, but I want you to think about Pluto. Yeah, Pluto. Right now, Pluto is training air. And that's you, air. Pluto is adding and lending and assisting in a very powerful, supportive manner for Gemini and Libran energy. So it's assisting with changing and transformations. Remember, Pluto is all about something being changed and transformed. And by the time it's done, that thing, it changed and it transformed, looks completely different. It's been changed and transformed. So we're going to talk a little bit about Mars and probably a little bit more about Pluto. And then we'll talk about two other things for May. So yeah, 3 things altogether. But as usual, there's lots of things within those 3 things because you are astrology. You are complex. Your life is complex. The stars, all the radiations, all the emanations, all the beautiful beams of energy coming down that we're receiving, it's complex. It is a beautiful, rich stock on the stove that's been cooking for 3, 4, 5 days. In some cultures, that pot never leaves the stove. They just constantly add more to it as they take from it. Yeah, so that it's just always got the mother in it, so to speak. The originator, the original, the piece, the factor in it, right? So Gemini, in the beginning of May, we have the first event, and it is an eclipse, right? A beginning in a big way. It's an eclipse ruled by Mars and Pluto, right? So this tells us that we've got an eclipse in Scorpio, right? And a Scorpio eclipse. And because it's in Scorpio, right there, that tells us it's about our shared values, our shared values. And those values can be things we've been through together. They can be material and tangible things. They can be emotions. They can be energetic bonds. Energetic bonds can be blood bonds. You know, like when we inherit something, we're related. And so there's just that bond, and the hand-me-down comes to us, right? Many times, whether we deserve it or not, we're next in line, right? And so there's that there. Scorpio energy is a release naturally. So we always talk about it as like death and taxes, Scorpio energy. It's like the end of something in a way, right? But that's the beautiful thing about Scorpio energy. That's the beautiful thing. It can cheat death, right? I was having some really good conversations under the Scorpio video. And of course, all the Scorpios were there, whether they were sun signs or rising signs, didn't matter. By the way, if you're watching this video because you are a Gemini birthday, that means that you're watching because you are a Gemini sun sign, right? Your birthday is your sun sign. Now, stick with me here. Keep watching because this will apply to you. It applies to the way that you express and uniquely radiate. It is literally your physical energy, how you shine. Think of the sun up in the sky. When it radiates, when it shines, people feel more positive and optimistic. And what does the sun do? It encourages growth. It's literally life-giving. Yeah. Without the sun, what would happen, right? So your sun sign is unique to you. It is unique in the way that you as a Gemini would talk and express and think and radiate and communicate the way you banter, the way you chat, the way you do the thing you do when people are like, oh my God, it's you, you know, hopefully in a pleasant way. Because Gemini energy can be very fun, but it also has that remarkable ability of duality, distinctive duality. It's not the same kind of duality as in Pisces. Pisces can kind of like, it's the master actor. It can play this role, it can play this role, and it can go back and forth in a soft way, soft and gentle way. And Gemini, sticking with the other air sign, Gemini energy can also go back and forth from one side to the other. But Gemini will do it in a more direct, a more no nonsense, a more logical, practical way. It almost at times may feel like it doesn't have a whole lot of emotion involved in the way that it operates. And that can serve us well when we're going through trying times, when we can keep our thoughts clear, when we can be logical and rational. And we're like, okay, just give me the details. I need the choices, the options. I need to plan and calculate. Like that can be super useful energy. Gemini, the calendars, the traveling, the itineraries, the jack of all trades, because they love to learn. But the catch is they're so scattered normally in the learning that and I remember when I was going through this, I have some strong stuff, right, in Gemini. And I remember being scattered. And believe it or not, it took another individual who I never um, didn't have like a meaningful friendship or relationship with. Even it was like an associate, I would say. And they were up on platform one night and they were delivering messages. And I was never a fan of receiving messages. I was never there to look for the messages. I was really just there to kind of support the work that was being done. And I knew a lot of the people. So I was just kind of like, okay, let's do this, and I got a message and I was just like, okay, let's see what this one's got. And the person that was delivering it, like I said, was an acquaintance, not necessarily a friend, which is actually the way I would prefer it, right? It's not super, it doesn't have such a powerful effect if the person delivering a message to you knows you, right? Think about that, right? To me anyway, it has a little bit more substance to it and a little bit more meaning if they don't know anything about me, right? If they don't know Jack and yet they can tell me something about me, something where I'm like, okay, now that was something there, right? And so I didn't have very high expectations at this point, right? I just thought, give it your best shot. And they did. They delivered their message. And their message was exactly that. It was a Gemini message. And it was, you are so thirsty for knowledge. You're learning this, you're learning this, you're learning this, you're learning this, you're learning all these different modalities. And at the time, I was. I was learning a lot of different things. And I was so focused into the astrology, but I was so deep into it because I was so already inclined towards Vedic astrology. Like I saw the chart and it was just like intuitively there was like I had these past like the soul memory or past life memory of just I had these knowings and an understanding of it. And I was just like really drawn to it. And so I was dabbling all over the place, different kinds. That was just to name one, right? And so nobody really, I didn't tell anybody this. This was just me trying to study all the methods, and then me taking away what I thought were the nuggets from each of them and kind of combining what worked for me. You follow? And so he was up there and that's what he said. You're scattering yourself all over the place. You're learning so much. Your mind is thirsty, it's hungry, and you're learning, but you're mastering none of it. And I thought, You got my attention. You got my attention. And from that moment on, I changed what I was doing. I decided I had to pick one. I had to pick one, and I had to stick to it in a way where it could be most beneficial, but also most beneficial in a way where I thought people would absorb it, would digest it, would be able to retain it. And so, well, here I am. But I had to pick. I had to pick. I had to make a choice. I had a lot of options, and that's Gemini energy. Options. They always want to have options because they love to be able to pivot because they, might get bored, right? Or they feel like they might be missing out on something. So they're always got their hand and their foot, 2 hands, 2 feet, like in a different bucket. Their brain here, the brain's over there. Their eyes are up there. They multitasker. That's like Gemini energy, like all over the damn place, right? So we have to choose, and we have to become a master of just one. It doesn't mean you have to throw the other things out the window, because I didn't. But I had to commit the majority of my focus and my energy and my time to that one. And so that's what I did. And hopefully I'm doing a good job at it, because this is what I picked. So that was just kind of a little side story to try to talk about Gemini energy and the ability to um to 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 not have as much laser-like focus as they can have, because here's you on this end, and who's at the opposite of you? The marksman, Sagittarius, the one that can ride a horse, and while riding that horse has the arrow and can pull back that arrow and hit a moving target while they're moving, while they're riding the horse. They're using their hands holding the damn bow and arrow. That is unshakable focus. Unshakable focus. And that's what I had to try to do. I had to try to get and attain and keep zero in on the laser-like focus. So what the hell does this have to do with this eclipse? Well, the eclipse has to do with endings and releases, right? Because it's Scorpio, but it's a full moon eclipse. It's a lunar eclipse. And it's in the South Node. And so the South Node is about endings. It's about the past. It's about letting that shit go. And the full moon is about a completion and an ending. So it's a full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio energy. Tragedies, wounds, stuff buried so deep you may not even understand where the pain came from. This can be stuff within your family. This can be stuff that's, because of the blood relationship thing, the bloodlines, the blood bonds. But it can also be things through people that we know, and we have that deep feeling, that deep emotion. And it's so deep that we sometimes are willing to do whatever. It's fixed energy too. Let's remember this. It's Scorpio. It's fixed energy. Fixed. So it may not want to let go of those wounds sometimes, right? Because it associates with them. It relates with them. It identifies with the wounds. You follow? Wounds are our badge of honor. Maybe badge of honor is the wrong word, but it's like, how if you were to, and I've never been in the military and I don't know a whole lot about it, but if you go to war and you get like a, I don't know, like a, what is it? I'm not sure. But anyway, you were at war and you fought, and here is this, whatever they give you. And maybe not everybody gets something, maybe you have to get like a, I'm just keep hearing Congressional Medal of Honor, I don't really know what that is exactly, but, I'm guessing you have to do something really big, and that's how you get rewarded, right? And so you may be coming out with some limbs missing, and so it's like, oh, big deal. But you've got the wounds in your own body, and they don't always have to be physical. That's the thing with Scorpio energy. It's likely, the emotional trauma, the emotional wounds, because of the physical trauma and the physical experiences that you went through. Right. Okay. So, Gemini, this eclipse in your sixth house, number six, sixth house. So, if it's in your sixth house, this is your day to day routines. This is like your projects, your tasks. It's the really super practical, unglamorous side of life, right? So, for some of us, it's domestic and we're just in the house cleaning, cooking, doing laundry. It's not real fancy. Nobody's like, "Oh, you clean really well," right? I mean, there are some people who really know how to clean, and some people who have an eye for detail will notice it and acknowledge it. But on the most part, we usually only hear about that when it comes to cars. Oh yeah, good job on the detail or shit or whatever, right? You don't really hear somebody, even things like washing and ironing, like people will send that stuff out. They don't want to do it, right? So it's work that's just it's so weird because to me, that sixth house, that Virgo stuff is so damn important. It's a big deal in our life because if that stuff is done right, it sets us up for success, right? So it's our daily routines. And if those daily routines and schedules and tasks and projects, like if we stay on top of that stuff, we can be successful in other ways. But if that stuff is all scattered and jacked up, think about it. Monday morning comes, you got to go to work. You got to be punched in or whatever. You got to be at the desk at 7 a.m. But you get up, the clock doesn't go off. So it's before you realize it, it's 6:30. You got to be there at 7. You're like, holy crap, not going to work. You got to make a phone call. I'm going to be late. You turn around, you realize the wash was never done, right? For some reason or other, you don't have your clothes. So now you're really screwed. You're like, oh my God. So you're telling the boss, yeah, it's going to be noon before I'm going to get there because you slept over, because you didn't wake up on time. That doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. So the stuff that we don't put too much value on, that we think is just not all that important, the food is so important. And this is that sixth house. The food is really important too, because it's our gut, it's our health. It's also the health, right? Now, this can also be work. When you're at work and the type of work you do, not necessarily the type of work you do, but the tasks and the projects and the routines within that job. Okay. So having Scorpio energy in your sixth house, Scorpio is deep and powerful, but it's also the fighter. It's also the fighter. So I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking, I keep hearing health again. And so for whoever's watching, I keep hearing health. And we think about the sixth house as being our digestion. And we think about Scorpio energy. And it's because it's so deep, I'm thinking this may be like colon energy, because it's so deep and buried. It's associated with the colon area of the body. But they're saying paying attention to the connection between the food and once it gets into the gut, how we feel, and understanding that sixth house, that connection, the connection between body and mind, right? The connection and the health and the vitality, the stomach being the second brain of the body. They're saying all this health stuff, right? And even though Scorpio has that ability to cheat death, right? We still have to honor our body and honor the connections they're telling me, to understand those connections are there and they're not to be severed, but they're to be honored, and to pay attention to the fixed ways. They're saying because Scorpio energy is fixed, there may be things within the daily habits and routines that we might unconsciously be associating to those pains. So there might be things, whether it's food, because Scorpio, um, because it's fixed and it holds on to stuff. Actually, it's not more of the desire end. The desire end would be Taurus energy. I'm trying to find my pen. Scorpio is more about it's fixed, but it's more about it can just be, it can get locked in. It can get locked in to, I'm hearing, it's connected to the desire, the Taurus thing, but it can get hooked onto like addiction, they're saying. The repetitive, whatever that is, whatever its pleasure may be, because it's associated to Taurus. Okay. So that's just for any of you who may have some issues or whatever. And I keep hearing this so loudly, and God knows, yeah, it could even be for whoever needs to hear it, including myself. Absolutely. So routines, this could be work, this could be a job at the job, a project at the job, a task. Something is ending. Now, the degrees matter. This is May 5th, in case I didn't say that part. But the degrees of this eclipse, this is 1458. So 2 degrees, right? So 1458, that's like a 15-degree eclipse, right? So that's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 degrees in the sign of Scorpio and the sign of Taurus. They are really, really strong for the month of May with this eclipse. They keep saying loudly, make sure everybody's understanding about the eclipse to look at both ends, which is a standard rule, It's not really special, but they just keep coming in really loud. Make sure you're telling them to check their Taurus energy. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 degrees in Taurus. So Scorpio, that would be in your 12th house. Okay. The opposite would be in your 12th. So that's the unconscious. That's the hidden. That's your values, right? Your love, hidden values, hidden desires, right? That's Taurus energy. How I receive. Taurus energy is the creature comforts. So there might be something there, right, at those matching degrees. It may help you to understand what's going on with this, because if it's in the 12th, this is your subconscious. And so if it's a subconscious desire, because the 12th house is definitely addictions, and having Taurus there could be some of that there. And maybe that's what they're tying into this right here for you. Okay. So, we all have some guilty pleasure somewhere, some way, somehow. I was on the phone with my mom, and she was saying something like, you know what? I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't know what else. She was going on. And she was saying, so if I want to eat some chocolate, damn it, I'm going to eat some chocolate or ice cream or whatever she was talking about at the time. And I said, you're absolutely right, Mom. Go right ahead and have your damn pleasure. You're 84. Enjoy. And she was like, that's right. And I said, good for you. So you get my point, right? So it's a release and it's an ending. It's a closure. And just know that Scorpio power brings the ability to have this release be like a final release. Like once you can release this and let it go and see that it's outdated, it's a value, it's a hurt, it's a wound that you need to just release and be done with it. You can then process it and fully heal. That's the beauty of Scorpio. That's the beauty of Mars and Pluto, which is why we started talking about Pluto in the beginning. Pluto is deep. It's powerful. It's about meaning and purpose. Meaning and purpose. So once we clear off all the other crap that we've been carrying around, we then have we have room for the new. And so that's going to lead us into this next part of this video here for you. We have Mercury doing a retrograde, right? You know this. It started in April. So the Mercury retrograde is important. I'm going to include the link down below for all those videos when the retrograde began, and then how this all looks when we get into May, right? Which is what we're talking about now. Mercury's rethinking. Mercury's going through a do-over. It's saying, okay, it's reevaluating, right? It's thinking again about something. And it's in Taurus. Your money, your values, your creature comfort, your desires, your love. You're rethinking that. Because it's in that 12th house, this may be tricky. When anything is in the 12th, it's stuff that there's a part of us that might be aware of it, but then there's that other part of us where we kind of don't want to know. We don't want to think about it, right? Because Pisces, the 12th, is all about, I want to escape that. So there might be something you already know what I'm talking about, but you've been like, you kind of push it out of your mind. That's escape. That's Pisces. It's the great escape artist. It's Houdini. That's Pisces, right? Yeah. I mean, Pisces is a lot of other things, a lot of beautiful, beautiful energy, sound, music, the movies, theaters, actors, actresses, performers, right? Awesome musicians. But it wants peace. It wants to feel good. It doesn't want to have to deal with stress. And because you have Taurus there, you may feel overwhelmed at times because Taurus is all about the sensitivities in the body, the five senses. But there's five senses and there's even more, right? So Taurus can feel overwhelmed because it's in the water, the Piscean waters. So what you just want to do is just keep all that in mind and understand that it's just a process. There's no one's going to do and take care of anything overnight. It's just a journey, man. And we're all on one. We each got one. Some of us have multiple journeys we're on. So just have patience with yourself and encourage yourself. You can do this. Okay? Rethinking Mercury retrograde. It's rethinking, it's redoing, it's reconsidering who and what it values, and are they going to be a part of my future? And do not, just be real clear. Don't pretend. Don't let your Taurus love energy in the Pisces be all understanding and forgiving. No, we've been there. We've done this. You need to be straight. You need to be clear thinking. You need to be in your Gemini mode and be like, you know what? I see what the real deal is now. I know where I'm headed, and I know who's not going with me, and I know what I need for my future. Stand your ground on this one. Stand your ground. Now, we have a new moon coming. This new moon is on the 19th of May. And what I love about this new moon is it is in your 12th house. It's in Taurus energy. Yes, it's in Taurus energy, Gemini. So you have the possibility to create something new going forward. I think this is super beneficial because we all just have a big release with Scorpio energy. And then look, right after it, we get a new beginning, a new moon in Taurus. And it's a beautiful time because Taurus, there's certain signs where when you want to manifest something, there's certain signs that have benefits. They have like an upper hand. And Taurus is definitely one of them. It is the most magnetic sign of all the zodiac. It's like the honey and the bees. It's really not the honey and the bees, though. That doesn't even make that much sense. It's more like the flowers, the nectar and the honeys, right? It just draws the bees right to it, right? And that is Taurus energy. Get clear and focused, which is why I said with that Mercury, for sure, for certain, you saw the real deal. In the last few months, you saw the reality of what reality is. And the universe showed it to you. Remember that. You saw the truth. Don't lose sight of it. Don't fantasize. Don't make things up. Don't pretend. Just be like, you know what? You're right. This is it. This is the reality. And I know what I need going forward and who's not going with me. Use your Taurus new moon. This is a very mature Taurus energy. It's at 28 degrees. 28 degrees, 25 minutes in the sign of Taurus. So Geminis, check your chart. See where that is for you. For the majority of you in your 12th house, for many of you though, it could possibly, some of that may dip into possibly your first house because it's at such a late degree. Okay. I use a tropical Placidus house system. So houses are all different sizes, which is why I say that. Okay. And I don't want to confuse people. So I'm not going to say anything else about that. Just remember, if you want to know and you don't know, comment to me below. I'll help you out in any way that I can. I'll help you clarify this. Okay. We'll find out for sure what house that it's in. What is this new moon about exactly? Think of all the Taurus stuff, the earth. Think of the earth, the water, the planet, the animals, your creature comforts. What the hell is involved in our creature comforts? Smells, tastes, touch, beauty, peace, harmony, goodness. These are all Taurus keywords. Taurus likes good food, rich. Give me the butter, baby. Venus rules Taurus. Venus loves sweets. Venus loves sweets. But it's more than that. It's sensuality. It's touch. Okay. So we have to really pay attention to the hidden desires, because your Taurus is in your 12th, our hidden love, and understand it may be painted with the Pisces and the Neptune brush so that we have like rose-colored glasses on with our values. They might not be real clear, okay? And I understand this energy. Like, I get it. I'm right there with you, okay? I understand. I see it. I see it. I see it in my life. And that's the thing. Can you pinpoint this for yourself in your life? Can you say, can you see, do you have the awareness to pinpoint the times, whether it's through conversations that you have with people where you realize your idea of love or what you think love is or who you love or who loves you? What does that look like? And is it really love? Is it desire? Is it lust? Is it really more just about this is what makes me feel comfortable? Use that word comfortable as a reminder. The ending is spelled B-U-L-L, comfortable, because it's your Taurus energy. It likes to be comfortable, right? Doesn't want to change. It's fixed. It doesn't want to change. It says to itself, but I've done this and it's been this way. And so it should stay this way. Remember the bull in the pasture, chomping away in a corner all by itself. Might even have a partner that comes in every now and then, but it's got its food. It's happy. It's comfortable. But then all of a sudden, it doesn't see how the world around it is changing. And even, you know, other things in the relationship or in its home or at the job may have changed. But it's like, but here in my little spot, I'm comfortable. But it's not understanding. It's not seeing the connections. It's not tying in with what's happening out there and the reality of how it's connected to what's happening here at home or within itself. And so that takes us to the self-love segment of Taurus energy. It's not just about my love for you or for somebody else. It's about my self-worth. Am I worthy? Am I worthy? Am I of value? And if I am of value, what will I no longer stand for? What is no longer acceptable in my life? Acceptable. B-U-L-L. This is important, Gemini. This is important. So with that, you're going to make your intentions. That is on the 19th, and it's at 10:53 a.m. For those of you that have like a little ceremony or a prayer, maybe you just write things down. With Taurus, it rules the spoken word. It rules the spoken word. So keep that in mind. You can write things down, but you can also speak it out there into the ethers. Let the Taurus energy, let it flow out there, and let it be that boomerang that it goes out there, it's heard, and then it brings back to you what you are worthy of, what you're worthy of. In order to do that, you got to write down. You got to write these things down or mentally do it here. Why am I worthy? What is it about me that makes me worthy? That's where it begins. All right, Gemini, I got Taffy in the room at the door. I hope you enjoyed. Hope this helped. You got any questions you want to know? Comment to me below and I will help you out. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.